1 week from today, the regular season will be over. We know that LeBron and the Lakers will play beyond that, but will they avoid the play-in? Absolutely, if Austin continues on his torrid streak. 15 made threes in the last 2 games combined. It's a franchise record. The new Big Three combined for 92 points against New Orleans. Luka getting more than 30 for the first time in 5 games. The Lakers have the most difficult closing stretch of any team in the league. The Final 5 begins with 2 in a row at Oklahoma City. They only have the best record in the league at 64-13. Tip-off is coming up at 12:30 right here on Spectrum Sportsnet. As we say hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I am Allie Clifton, joined by the one and only Hall of Famer, Big Game James Worthy, the 5-time champ himself, Derek Fisher. Before we dive into the game, I know you just mentioned that you didn't get a chance to catch the Duke-Houston game. However, how much did your native Tar Heel soul, get that out, Allie, relish in the result? You didn't even have to watch the game.
Nah, I was there for a little, appearance corporate thing, and I wanted to get back last night, so I had to fly back. But when I realized that they had lost, normally when an ACC team is in the Final Four or in the 8 or 16, I pull for the ACC. Yep. There's an exception, and it's Duke. So I was there with all these Duke fans, having to take photos with them with their Duke jerseys on, and I just reminded them. I said, Houston's not afraid of you guys. And I said, don't get overconfident. I said, because, Coach Sampson knows how to coach. And sure enough, they had that 9-point lead just slip away. And so here I am to say that there's no champion in the ACC this year. And go to hell, Duke. Yeah, go to hell, Duke. Yeah.
They made you take photos with them in Duke jerseys?
Yeah, it was one of those fanfare things where all the teams were there. Auburn was there. They were just all, where's Carolina? I said, okay, it's all right. Just relax.
Let's say. Hope they took care of you. Hope they paid you well.
It was worth, making the trip, but I had to get back, because, man, you miss a game on Friday, man. These guys just, they did a good job of imitating me while I was away. Especially Robert, but it was funny. I was at home watching the game, watching the show, and they did a good job. It was funny. Yeah.
We all should know that he always has his eye on all of us
I watch
at all
everything.
times.
Even on my off days. I watch you, Brez. I see you on the off days.
I know you do. You know where else our eyes are? How about this? Just 5 games remaining in the regular season for the Lakers as we took a look at the West standings. Currently, the 3rd seed are the Lakers with a record of 47-30. I think the biggest thing that I see when looking at this, though, is that seeds 3 through 8 are separated by just 1 to 2 losses with 4 or 5 games remaining, depending on the team's schedule. That is wild. Down to the final, if you will. We've got 5 to go. The Lakers do. The last regular week of the season, if you will. Before we even get to the game today versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, just focusing in on finishing this final stretch. 4 of their final 5 away from Crypto.com Arena. There is nothing easy about this week, but you want to lock in on yourselves.
Yeah, I remember when Brez was giving us that finale season, the rest of the season, maybe about 3 weeks ago. I was like, man, this could be a problem if we don't take care of business now. And they've taken care of business. They've done what they, supposed to have done as far as winning games, being in 3rd with a little bit of help from, from some other teams losing. But this stretch here, when you look at, you can go down to 8. Clippers are playing good. Minnesota, Ant-Man is waking up like, it's time to go. The Warriors, they're with Butler. They found a way to win. So this is critical time with only 1 or 2 games separating. You don't want to slip down too far, but you could if you don't win some games, and you got 2 that are, I think we're 0-1 against them last year. Succeeded against them last year pretty good, I think.
3-1, yep.
So you gotta look for the positive and, trying to win on the road.
Yeah, and I think for this group, the opportunity to play against, these next 2 games in Oklahoma City, and continue to actually learn with Luka what our formula is for winning on the road, winning against good teams, playoff-like atmosphere. What are we going to need to do to win on the road? How are we going to respond to the adversity we're going to see in some of these Western Conference buildings? So I think it's a good opportunity, even though it's going to be exhausting and draining, to finish I mean, ideally, you can stay in the top 3 so that you wouldn't have to see OKC until the conference finals. So that also gives the Lakers a lot of motivation and incentive to, to kick this 2-game set off, at least with OKC, with the win today.
They've only seen him once this season, as you mentioned, is back in November, so quite a lot has changed since then. But I do want to say this, despite having 64 wins, having that #1 seed in the West locked up, they're still looking to solidify the overall best record in the NBA. Obviously, they're just 2 games ahead of the Cavs right now. So I would imagine that when many thought maybe they wouldn't be playing all their guys here over the next 2 versus the Lakers, this could possibly be full rosters, maybe a playoff feel.
Oh, no doubt. You got 2 teams on a mission. Oklahoma wants to have the best record. Lakers don't want to slip. So, yeah, you find yourself, before the playoffs even start, you find yourself in, trying to position yourself so that you can avoid certain circumstances. So, yeah, Oklahoma's not going to let up. They have a lot to prove. Regular season is one thing. I think they have the team that can win it all, but they still have to prove it to themselves. And the pressure is going to mount a lot on them as well. I mean, the Lakers always have the pressure, but Oklahoma has a lot to prove this year. And so as they squeeze into the playoffs, you hope that, they can handle it and that they can handle the pressure. One game that you can win against them, that cracks the glass ceiling a little bit. So that's what the Lakers have to, try to look forward to.
Yeah, and I think 2 things. One, we all had our feelings about the play-in tournament coming into, the league, not too long ago, and what it may or may not do, what the results of that will be. 2 things on the play-in tournament. I do believe there's been some positive impact in terms of, like, how many teams are fighting for something this last week of the season. Teams that want to move up above that, that 7 line to be 6 so they don't have to be in the play-in. The teams that are just above that line trying to make sure that they don't dip below. Are you looking at certain matchups in terms of teams you want to stay away from? That's one part. The second part, from a calendar perspective, the teams that are at the top that are going to be in, because of the play-in, they'll have 5-6 days without a game next week. So that's also one of the reasons why you're seeing more teams playing all of their guys, is because you can't shut it down, also then not have a game next week, and then think your guys are going to be sharp for the first round of the NBA playoffs. So there's a lot of chess being played, during this last stretch, and some of it really has to be given credit in terms of the play-in tournament.
And getting above that line is a real thing. JJ did not hold back. He said it a month ago. We just want to be in the playoffs. We don't want to be in the play-in. Yeah. That's a real thing. Who wants to be? Lakers and Thunder tip things off right here at 12:30 on Spectrum Sportsnet. We get you live to Oklahoma City. Lakers reporter Mike Trudell is first on the floor, as always. Hey, Mike.
Hey guys, welcome to Oklahoma, a rare early game. So we'll see just how ready the Lakers are for the early tip-off. And you have to think about this Oklahoma City Thunder as an attack dog on defense. They really come out strong right away. So I wondered with J.J. Redick, can you emphasize that in film relative to just the players kind of recognizing it once the game starts? An example of this is just think about OKC only have lost 1 game all year to Eastern Conference teams, perhaps, who aren't as used to the style that they play, whereas the record in the West for OKC is actually only about 2 games better than that of the Lakers. So we'll see how that all plays out. And here's J.J. Redick talking about what to expect from Oklahoma City.
We know what to expect in terms of their physicality and their on-ball pressure. We faced that a lot this year from different teams, and Luka obviously has experience playing against these guys and being matched up with Dort. So, and there'll be other guys that guard him, obviously, but we're ready for that.
JJ, you've said to us a number of times that one of the things you like best about this job is the problem-solving opportunities. What's it been like the last 30 hours or so trying to problem-solve the Oklahoma City Thunder? And I guess have you enjoyed that process?
Yeah, I think the two biggest problems to solve are, offensively, it's Shea and Jalen and not allowing them to live in your paint and create scoring opportunities. Both those guys are just so good at attacking. So we have to be very disciplined, not just with on ball and our shifts, but also with our hands. And then the second thing is, trying to figure out the best way to attack them based on, they play two bigs, they play one big, they play small. You got to be able to change a little bit.
JJ, excuse me. You mentioned the two big look, and you guys have had a lot of success recently at attacking bigger teams, getting them to downsize and kind of dictating the terms. But that two big look has been pretty effective. Well, what makes it so difficult, I guess, to match up with and sort of the chess match there?
I think Holmgren, his versatility probably would start with that. Anybody who ever listened to that stupid podcast I did for so long knows that I was a massive fan of Hartenstein, and Holmgren he's a perimeter player. He's an interior force. He can switch. Hartenstein is always just had such a high impact on winning on every team he's been on. I think both those guys on the offensive glass is a concern, whether we play big lineups or whether we go to our laser lineup. So and then again, I started with Shea and Jalen, but you can go down the list and there's a million different problems to solve with this team.
All right, so you heard Redick there, guys. The two big lineup and Hartenstein playing together with Holmgren certainly presenting a lot of problems for opponents. And the Lakers generally have been playing a little bit more small. Jackson Hayes' minutes down a little bit and more of the DFS with Rui Hachimura lineup. So certainly fascinating. I mean, these teams haven't played since November. You have Luka added into the mix, and at the time, Chet wasn't playing for OKC. So a lot to view here in this two-game series.
Indeed, we're going to get a close look at it over the next two. Thanks so much, Mike Trudell. We appreciate it. The first of two in a row in OKC. It's coming up. SGA for MVP. He's a front runner for the award. He's the only player in the league averaging 30 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, and a block per game while making over 50%